Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Megan Fenton, and I'm your worship associate this morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1031, Filled with Loving Kindness, in your teal hill.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Whether you have been with this congregation a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whatever you are, whomever you love, we welcome you. Whatever your heritage, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which our church building sits as the ancestral homelands of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. I have some announcements here this morning. Our annual auction will be held on Saturday, October 18th, and tickets are available now after the service. Tickets are $30 each, with a special discount for families of young children. Drop in at coffee hour and order your tickets for our biggest and lots of fun fundraiser of the year. During our coffee hour today, check out the updated boutique downstairs at the office. It has handmade cards, small artwork, sculptures, serving platters, bookmarks, and more. All items are contributed and handmade by our congregants, with all proceeds going to UUCHV. They are well below gallery prices. And is William here? No?
Yes.
William has an announcement he'd like to make.
I took the selling popcorn to help fund campouts, and they're $20 each. We have 8 bags left in our first come, first serve.
Thank you. For the most up-to-date information on these topics and others, please refer to our weekly e-newsletter and check out our website frequently. And please join us for conversation after the service. If you are present in the sanctuary, please join us for coffee. Otherwise, if you're watching the live stream, the link for our Zoom coffee hour can be found in the Saturday reminder of your email. If you were just recently joining us and would like to receive our weekly e-news, please email us at uuproton@gmail.com with your name, and we will make sure you are added to our e-news list. Also, please remember to silence your phones at this time. Once again, we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley.
Thank you, Linda. I have a new microphone. It might be working. I'm doing a radical thing right now. I didn't even know it was possible. And I'm disoriented. But I want to just send a huge welcome to everyone here. This is a really special day in the life of our congregation. For the first time, as I understand it, we will be welcoming an affiliated community minister into the life of our congregation. We'll learn a little more about that later in the service in a special ceremony, but it is just a genuine joy to welcome Michael Tino into the life, renew the welcome of Reverend Tino into the life of this congregation. And as we gather today, I recall words from the Reverend Mark Morrison Reed, who said, religious community is essential because alone our vision is too narrow. When we gather in community, so much more is possible than if we are in our own rooms, in our own spaces. And thank you, whether you are joining online or right here in this sanctuary, for coming into this shared room as we commit to the values of generosity and love and covenant and renewal and repair. And as we do every week in this congregation, I invite the children to join Jane Podell, our Director of Religious Exploration, and the wonderful Annabelle to head into the bell tower where they will ring the bells of our sanctuary in honor of our values. May the sound of those bells resonate all week as we seek to put love at the center. Amen.
Today's chalice lighting is by Maureen Kilran. For every time we make a mistake and we decide to start again, we light this chalice. For every time we are lonely and we let someone be our friend, we light this chalice. For every time we are disappointed and we choose to hope, we light this chalice. Now please join me in saying our unison affirmation. The words are in your order of service. Inspired by love,
Our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice.
As we do several times over the course of the month, I invite you to join in our songs of praise in English and Spanish. This week, in honor of this celebration, we're invited to sing. This has been a week. For some, it has been a beautiful week. For some, it has been a sad week. For some of us, it has been some combination of the both. As we enter into this moment, let's take a breath and be present with one another. Our meditation today comes from the teacher.com, who invites us to consider what does it mean to be present and engaged with our breath and with our work. This exercise has 5 steps. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Breathing in, I am aware of the whole length of my breathing. Breathing out, I am aware of the whole length of my breathing. Breathing in, I am aware of the whole length of my body. Breathing out, I relax my whole body. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out, living in wonder. I invite forward 2 leaders in our congregation, President Jim Russell, who's President of the Board of Trustees, and Paul and Megan Benton, who are co-chairs of our worship committee. And I invite Whitney Russell to stand.
Good morning. My name is Jim Russell, President of the Board of Trustees for our congregation. I have the honor this morning of introducing Reverend Dr. Michael Tino, who will be serving with us as a community minister otherwise known as affiliate minister. This means that they are the Unitarian Universalist minister whose primary ministry is in the wider community, working with the public. In Reverend Michael's case, they are the co-lead minister of the Church of the Larger Fellowship, a national duty ministry for those physically or geographically isolated. Reverend Michael is especially passionate about the ministry for over 20,000 incarcerated individuals that form part of the Church of the Larger Fellowship's membership, a number that has doubled in the last 5 years as word of the ministry has spread. Reverend Michael has been a UU religious professional since 1998, including serving the UUA as the Director of Young Adult and Campus Ministry from 2001 to 2007, and is currently co-chair of the Ministerial Fellowship Committee, the credentialing body for ministers. For 15 years, Reverend Michael previously served as the minister of our sibling congregation in Mount Kisco, New York. They live in Peekskill, New York, on the land of the Kitchewan, Wapaju, and Wet'suwet'en nations, with their husband and daughter. An affiliate ministry role allows Reverend Michael to connect meaningfully to the local congregation, and we get to enjoy the benefits of another occasional ministerial presence in our midst, and periodic teaching and preaching. Reverend Michael, you accept the invitation of the Board of Trustees to be the affiliated community minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley?
I do.
Hello. I need it for the people at home. Hello, my name is Ann Pearl, and I am co-chair with Megan Fenton of the Worship Committee. We are so excited to welcome you as community minister and look forward to working with you at least 4 times during Sunday worship. We have had the joy of doing so before, as Reverend Michael served as family lead minister in spring and fall of 2024.
My name is Megan Fenton, and I'm co-chair with Ann Pearl of the Worship Committee. On behalf of the congregation, we are pleased to present you with this chalice, symbol of our faith.
Congratulations, Reverend Michael. As married, you know that religious exploration is a lifetime process. As you begin this new ministry, I am very honored to present you with the poetry book, Startlement, New and Selected Poems by Ada Limon, 24th Poet Laureate of the U.S. May it be a source of inspiration.
And I am delighted because I get to offer a And Reverend Michael, today I want to offer a prayer for community ministry and for you. In the newness in which you find your affiliation with us, and in your deeply meaningful job serving so many through the Church of the Larger Fellowship, and in this tumultuous time, may you and your family be surrounded by love. May you find abundant ways to manifest ministry at home, in the world. May you be work constantly be present. And may your spirit be nourished by the community and the spiritual depth and the companion you now have here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson. May it be so. And to the gathered people, I've been told that you have bubble wrap. And if you would like to join me in celebrating and affirming this new community ministry, please take your bubble wand and blow bubbles high. In honor of the Latino
so much. It is an honor and a privilege to have a formal connection to this wonderful group of people, with whom I happened to connect almost by chance, though I live 2 miles up the road. It is really it is a blessing to me to have this grounding in a local community as I serve a community without those roots, and in my local community as well. So thank you. If you want to open your teal hymnals, and don't, but if you want to open your teal hymnals to 1014, you would notice a hymn with very different words than the ones we are about to sing. When the Reverend Jason Shelton wrote this hymn, Answering the Call of Love, he wrote it in honor of the Unitarian Universalist Association's stance on marriage equality, which was then being heatedly debated in Massachusetts, just next door, and right next door to where the UUA headquarters was, in fact. And he wrote it because this was the title of our stance as standing on the side of love. And what followed was several years of conversation with people who cannot stand, literally, physically cannot stand, about what it means to use a metaphor as the central metaphor in our justice work that excludes them. And Jason, in the work of repair that we are about to talk about, changed the words in his hymn. And he changed them to the ones that are on the sheets that have been passed out. Hopefully you have one. It is now Answering the Call of Love, and has been now for 8 years. And I like that title better, because we are each called to express love in this world. We are each called by the love in this world to act in certain ways, to express empathy and justice and oneness in this world. And so, would you please rise in body or spirit and sing Answering the Call of Love?
Yes.
teaching today, religious exploration today, we'll be exploring covenant, those promises that help us to answer the call of love and what we're prepared in this world. And we now invite children gathered to join in singing and knowledge. As we sing them out, we go now in peace.
As Unitarian Universalists, we draw upon and are inspired by sacred and secular understanding to seek wisdom and practice compassion. Our reading today is from Reflections by the contemporary artist and sculptor Ramona Rosales. Rosales recently designed a memorial for 219 persons enslaved by colonial and early Republic members of Queen's Chapel in Boston, called Unbound. A photo of the sculpture is featured on the cover of your order of service. She says, "This sculpture is all about energy. I had this feeling that I really wanted to sculpt, but I didn't have a reason to. And then months later, I received this call from Queen's Chapel. It was a journey towards reconciliation. I didn't want to create something that was stagnant, that was just reflection. Reflection doesn't signify movement or feeling. I wanted to not only have an acknowledgement and memorial, but a positiveness of beauty. Unbound is a figure in all my work, or at least in most of my work. She is a mother who I envision as mother of the African diaspora. She embodies freedom and liberation. She is surrounded by birds. I think of the birds as her children. The birds are free to enter, free to exit. The birds are the embodiment of happiness. We don't need to be immortalized from trauma. I want to show the women in us." We come together in community to share with one another, to support one another, and to celebrate with one another. We bear sacred witness to each other in this honored ritual. As we begin, we know there are both great sorrows and great joys in our world that must be acknowledged as well. We light our first candle to honor those in pain, victims of violence and war and oppression all around our world. We light a second candle because we understand that amidst all of that pain, there is also celebration and joy in our world. We honor that joy and sorrow are living together. For some of us here today, this has been a week of life-changing joy that needs to be lifted up in worship. For others, this has been a time of deep pain and sorrow that needs to be shared to make the burden lighter. If this has been such a time for you, I invite you to come forward to light a candle and to briefly tell us your joy or sorrow. You may also raise your hand in silent acknowledgement of your joys and sorrows, and we will light a candle for you. Please remember that your joys and sorrows are being shared on the live stream in the broader virtual community.
It's not on. It's not on.
Please also come to this.
I just wanted to share a sorrow that last week when I was visiting my sister-in-law, April so graciously mentioned my sister-in-law, Carolyn Santana. She passed away last Sunday night, and not only did I have Yom Kippur,
this week. I also had her funeral, so it's been a bit of a week, like you can imagine. It's been a week. But thank you all for welcoming me into your congregation. As I have my temple in Putnam Valley, and I have you here, and I really appreciate you all, and thank you.
I'm Terry. As many of you already know, Chris and I had a tough couple of months. In May, we lost our beloved golden retriever who was only 6 to cancer. And in July, we almost lost our beloved son, Brian, who was 31, to a sudden cardiac arrest on the beach. The joy is, I was there, nurse practitioner, I started CPR, the EMTs came quickly and were able to bring him back. And he's had a defibrillator implanted and he's doing great. And we're getting a puppy next month.
Don't walk between the piano and the phone. I feel so important. My name is Scott, and there are certain days in the world we live in that I wake up disgusted, sad, fearful. There are probably a lot of us feel that same way. And there are certain days I wake up and I'm glad, nothing but love. And this is one of those days. And Reverend Michael started when I sat in San Francisco years ago, and I heard you say, stand on the side of love. I want to read something. How many folks have been covering this? Is a plaque at the co-founder of the and Dr. Miller. Perpetual quietness of heart. It is to have no trouble. It is never to be fretted or vexed, irritable or still. To wonder at nothing that is done to me, and to feel nothing done against me. It is to be at rest when nobody praises me, and when I am blamed or despised. To have a blessed home in myself where I can go and shut the door and kneel to my Father in a secret place of deep peace, as in a deep sea of calmness, and all around me the sea of trouble. There are mornings when I'm here with you guys that I feel like that. So God bless all of us.
Good morning, my name is Margie, I'm the Chief of Finance, and it was a joy last Saturday to have our training for volunteers with the Fridays program for LGBTQ. We had 19 folks, including our Reverend Daniel, show up in Peekskill, which was lovely. And I just wanted to share something I found out yesterday about that attack on the Mormon church last Sunday. Their congregation, after a terrible attack, took up a bill for the shoes from them. And they sold $300,000 for his life and his children. Just really want to share that.
Hi, my name is Kevin Green. It's actually been a tough couple of weeks. I'll start by thanking for my wife's uncle, Jim. Jim was a Marine and he was a firefighter in Queens his whole career. I first met my wife, he was in the same house, but he was 2 doors down, and my wife was living from Vancouver, Queens, and so I've known him for a while. We just had a funeral for him yesterday at Pine Lawn, and it's found it much more difficult than I thought because my father has gone through a lot. He just actually moved my parents in the same building but down to a smaller apartment, and they're in their 80s, and it was not the time to be in their 80s, and my father he has Parkinson's. He isn't the father that I knew, and it was very interesting because my wife's aunt was a nurse in Queens, and she refused to have any help taking care of Uncle Jim and all that part of his life. And the 3 children were there, and I saw them yesterday, and while they were depressed and sad, there was some actually was feeling really uncomfortable, and I realized that I was feeling somewhat jealous, because this is a very difficult time when mothers also not accepting help. I think I mentioned in this congregation before, my mother and her sister walk in the morning in New York City for 3 hours, and I know that a minimum amount of time that a nurse comes to the house is 3 hours, and she could have a nurse come to the house when she's not there and help my dad, and she refuses to do that. And I was just talking to my aunt and my sister, were remembering when my grandmother was sick. She had a wonderful woman named Beverly Christmas, believe it or not, who took care of her. But I remember a couple of days that I stayed there, the first 3 or 4 hours of the day were not fun. Beverly would have to get my grandmother out of bed, and these fights, my grandmother would say nasty things. I remember thinking that I could never do that job, that how Beverly Christmas could stand there and have somebody yell at you, yet still show compassion and get them out of bed and have them have breakfast. And I just know that I don't know how my mom is dealing with that. So I'm sorry for going on for so long. But thank you all for listening.
Hi, I'm Susie. Our friend Helen's partner George died unexpectedly, and it was about 2 weeks ago, and she still hasn't wanted to talk. And so I wanted to keep her and George in your hearts, and she just texted me that her life is in hell. And I just feel terrible for her.
I'm April, and this is a student family, quite big for me, which is, I think I've mentioned it there different times that, actually I mentioned 2 weeks ago that an old boyfriend of mine had died from alcoholism, and my father also died from alcoholism. But 10 years ago today was the day that I walked into my first Al-Anon meeting, and just really transformed my life. And 12 steps are my spiritual practice. I come here for community because I like you guys. The 12 steps are really like, my spiritual practice. And in April will be my 10th year here. So it was my dad's last battle with alcoholism and his passing without me into the rooms and here. So.
So they're really beautiful, and this week marks halfway, hopefully, through my life. Hi, my name is Laura, and my pronouns are she, her. And I have a health issue that I have to make a decision that's pretty significant about whether or not to go forward with the procedure. And I have just been kind of rolling along with what this doctor was saying, and I guess this is a joy because I am most likely going to have the procedure done, but I am going to postpone it until I can do more research. And so I feel very grounded and very supportive in my decision. And I just wanted to share that because I've been really afraid.
Hi. So this past month, September, just like about a week ago, marked 13 years since my sister, my only sibling, Miriam, passed away. She was 65 when she passed, which is the age that I am now. And I just wanted to acknowledge that, and I've been thinking about it, so thank you.
We light one final candle for those joys and sorrows that remain unexpressed, and for those outside of our walls who are searching for a place to bring the wholeness of their lives and to be received with love.
As we gather this morning, we want to offer a prayer. This is adapted by the Reverend Chris Lucy, and it's an adaptation of the prayer of St. Francis. And Reverend Francis prays, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is indifference, may we bring justice. Where there is selfishness, may we bring equity. Where there is stagnation and avoidance, we bring renewal and transformation. Where there is fear and homogeneity, we bring power and confirms. Where there is isolation, may we bring interdependence. Where there is greed and fear, may we bring love and generosity. And where there is cruelty and hatred, we bring big love. Make us instruments of your peace with love at the center, accompanying us as we go out into this wondrous world, this aching world, and again and again return to love. Make me an instrument. Amen. The photo on the cover of your order of service is by Megan Smith, and it portrays a snapshot of a 14-foot tall sculpture that was just unveiled in Boston roughly 2 weeks ago. And this sculpture comes to us through a response to trauma, through pain, and hurt. Unitarian Universalism is a beautiful ideal and idea, and a beautiful expression of values. Unitarian Universalists are people with a heritage, people in embodied buildings, people with a history. Congregations have a history. And sometimes that history is not what we expect or we're taught. I want us to take a breath and go back well over a century to the city of Boston in the 1850s. And Boston, at the time of Boston, still is seen as a hub of Unitarianism. There are dozens of Unitarian congregations today. There are dozens of Unitarian Universalists of all different types. You can find some that are more liberal Christian, some that are nature-oriented, some that are more humanist. But the truth is, most of those old Boston churches are deeply, directly tied to the English colonization of Massachusetts, Narragansett, and people bought land. And in fact, the merchants, the ministers, the people who attended on Sunday, many of them were directly invested in the work of the transatlantic slave trade. And these congregations with beautiful names and gorgeous architecture, First Church Boston, Second Church Boston, Federal Street, King's Chapel, Purchase Street. If you go back in the records, in the 50 years leading up to the Civil War, most of these gorgeous, beautiful, nature-affirming congregations were completely silent from the pulpit and in their community work about the work to resist enslavement and to transform the country. Now, maybe some of them thought, well, Massachusetts ended enslavement in 1783, so we don't really need to be involved with the work of the wider country. But that wasn't actually the case. I want to read a letter that a congregant sent to one of those old school ministers in the 1850s. And this is from a memoir published in 1891. This letter is from October 1856. And this letter is directed to the Reverend Rufus Ellis. Dear Sir, I'm sorry that you thought fit to introduce the subject of slavery into your morning sermon. The discussion of this subject from the pulpit in our community will not tend to pure religion or good morality. On the contrary, it will lead to nothing but strife and bitterness among the congregants. Hereafter, I propose that if you were to preach on slavery, you should inform the congregation ahead of time, so that I may absent myself from the meeting and be saved the painful necessity of quitting my pew during the service. I am your friendly servant. Reverend Rufus Ellis had a reply. And just as a little background, Ellis was from Northampton, Massachusetts. He served the Unitarian Society of Northampton and the ancestor of Yahweh. And keep in mind, this is 1856. Rufus replies this: My dear sir, I commend you for your frankness and shall need no apology for it. I should have preferred to have had your note at some other time than the opening of my evening worship service. But I suppose that was an oversight, and fortunately it did not disturb me. When I came to this place, I had a long correspondence with the nominating committee, in which I stated that it had been my practice to discuss every great moral subject, every evil in sin, including that of slavery, and that I must continue to do so. And after that correspondence, they called me. As to last Sunday's sermon, most persons would have thought it overly conservative. In illustrating a great religious and moral theme, a prominent moral question comes in my way. Should I avoid it? Not as I interpret my duty. I have therefore done as I shall continue to do. I'm not a fanatic nor political partisan, but I shall try to preach the whole gospel, and must add, I cannot engage to give notice to any one of my parishioners what special course of instruction or illustration I may lead to the next day. This would be impossible sometimes, and you might think yourself a fool. I can undertake to do nothing of the sort, and must run the risk of momentary disturbance that would be caused in the congregation if you feel called upon to bear witness against me on reading this. I am sorry that I cannot please you without being false to my doctrine. And many thanks to you for your kindness. Remain sincerely, Rufus Ellis. And now, this is a powerful response. Ellis was a minister of First Church Boston. Literally, the First Church of Boston. He was the first minister in the history of First Church to preach against enslavement. And that was in 1856. First Church had been in existence since 1630. So I bring this up because this culture of avoidance begins to scratch people. One of those old school congregations with these ancient histories is King's Chapel. It was founded in 1688. It was originally the first Anglican church in Boston, and in the late 1700s it converted to Unitarianism. And many people today visit this gorgeous chapel for its architecture and its unique worship service. They maintain 1780s Unitarianism. They have the Book of Common Prayer with the Trinity removed and just referencing Jesus as teacher. Everything else is like an Anglican prayer service. It's located on the Freedom Trail in Boston, which is this great monument to the American Revolution. And the artist, Harmonia Rosales, who created this sculpture, she said, this is a beautiful chapel. And it's like a movie. Because its gorgeousness hides where the money came from. And about 10 years ago, the congregation wanted to update this exhibit, this tour exhibit. They hired a historian, and they thought they were going to find fun stories about what a great liberal progressive congregation within. And they found nothing of the sort. Dean Denniston, who to this day is still the senior warden at the congregation, said, we learned that slavery did not only exist in the South, but in all 13 colonies. And we here in Boston, and we here in this congregation, are part of it. And then the question becomes, what do you do with this stuff? Dave Carpenter, the congregation's historian, helped the congregation learn that all these gorgeous memorial plaques around the interior often were dedicated to 18th and 19th century Board of Trustees and ministers who were directly implicated, who owned plantations in the Caribbean and the South, or owned and advocated for enslavement in the U.S. And the congregation was rejected. And then David Washington, the former minister of education there, said what happened was the congregation had to figure out what is our specific mission. Because we're not just a random congregation, we're a military universalist congregation. Carry this story in this location. What is our particular responsibility? And their minister, Reverend Joy, says, our covenant literally begins, we gather in the love of truth. We gather in the love of truth. And if that's so, then truth is. And they committed to a multi-year, ongoing, will continue for the rest of their existence, process of repentance and renewal. For the last 7 years, they've changed the public exhibit, so when people come on the Freedom Trail, they will learn about the reality of what was happening in Boston. That even on the brink of the American Revolution, 10% of the people in the city were enslaved. They will learn about the role of historic congregations in sanctifying this oppression. They will also have the opportunity to hear in regular annual worship services the names of 219 people who the historian was able to find were enslaved by people connected to the congregation. And through this work of repentance, they said we can't just be about the past, we have to be about the present. And they created a commission, and they invited a series of artists to send proposals, and Harmonia Rosales, whose reflection we heard from Megan, was selected. And Harmonia has this 3-part plan. One, which was this is a 14-foot-tall statue, where yes, maybe King's Chapel is a gilded cage, but now the cage is open. And throughout the building now, there are 219 bronze pillars that are on pews, that are up in corners, that are on top of graves. And then the next part of it is they have somewhat similar to the ceiling, blue, old colonial style ceiling that will turn into a mosaic and mural which will feature 219 Black indigenous images. And Rosales said, King's Chapel reflects the contradictions and foundation of America as a whole. And I want to disrupt the walk on the Freedom Trail. I want people to stop in awe, not just in curiosity, but to see how beautiful and powerful this person is, how all of these souls are there. And she says, the primary purpose of art is and always will be to encourage sympathy, empathy, and empowerment. And she asks, how do we change trauma into a space for empowerment? How can we invite all of us to be part of new beginnings? Rosales said the necessity of the moment is really just being willing to change the norm, to create a new beginning. Sometimes when we Unitarian University, when we talk about starting over, renewing, we almost pretend the past didn't happen and we're just here. But the healthy healing one acknowledges the trauma is unreal. But now we're in a moment where we can start a different trajectory. And the work will take time. But when we covenant, when we make these promises, when we make radical claims like we search after truth, when we seek our true nature, we try to act for justice in the world, if we hold that covenant actually as true, something different might happen. And I told David, my friend who's the past associate minister there, one of the things that I find amazing about King's Chapel is there are so many institutions in the United States in the last 6 years that started work like this and then stopped. And this congregation is continuous. And the part to me that was most hopeful and a sign that they're not done is they have started creating a fund for reparations with the initial goal to raise $2 million to distribute to the predominantly Black community organizations in Boston on an ongoing basis. And they've hired another historian to try to do genealogical work to connect the families of these descendants to know this is a space where the ceremony is defined with ancestry. And we were part of tremendous hard. We want to understand that people are real. And the stories teach you. And I just think about if all of the old congregations from Portland and Charleston started to think about what is our responsibility in our unique space, what radical things might happen in this country. And if we think about here we are in Westchester, on these unceded lands, in this unique part of the country, what is our specific call? I don't know. But I think through the conversations of our committees and leadership and discernment, we can imagine how we might be called to do something we have not done before. So let us be faithful to these promises. And when we fall short, we'll try again. But there's something remarkable about what Rosales says, this faith in the new beginning. The new beginning that doesn't deny the pain, but invites us to move forward. And I will Thank you.
Each week, we make an offering from the bounty we are blessed to enjoy. We do this in the spirit of love and generosity, aware that we have benefited from those who have gone before, those in their turn gave generously. Our offering goes to support the work of love and justice undertaken by this community. Today's offering will also be shared with the lost. Please refer to our e-newsletter or website for more information. You can make your donation in several ways. If present in the sanctuary, you may give cash or a check in the offering plate as it comes by. From your homes, you can make your donation using our website, UUCHV.org. Or if you prefer, you may always mail us a check. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Now please join me in the dedication of the offering. The words are in your order of service. These gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Now please join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now we're going to go back and we're going to sing our final hymn, number 155, Circle Round for Freedom, in your great now. Please rise in body or spirit.
May we be attentive to the new beginnings that we cultivate in our lives. May we be present to one another in this unfolding world. And may we give and receive. Thank you. Thank you.
Morning, good girl.
Oh, that's a good idea.